Welcome to the Encore Audio Archives YouTube channel. I'm Taper Dave, and this is my channel. I've uploaded hundreds of talks here that I've recorded at meetings in West LA, and I've also recorded conventions starting in 2013. I've got a bunch of those up. And Walt and Mary Murray, the original owners of Encore Audio Archives, started the company in the 80s, and Walt recorded Joe and Charlie's and a bunch of stuff down in Vista, California. My sobriety date is June 20th of 1994. I hope you find something you like, so please like and subscribe to my channel and comment down below. If you want to hear something that I don't have or that you don't see, I'll see that I get it. Anyways, take care and have a great day if you want to.
Now let's give a warm welcome to our main speaker, Jason. No, then I will have nothing to say if I tell the truth. Hi, my name is Jason. I'm an alcoholic. I brought notes. Yeah. You know, I was at a barbecue on the way up here with my girlfriend. And do mushrooms count as a slip? So if I go all over the place a little bit, that's the excuse. Man. The caffeine will mellow me out. You know, I look around and I see so many people I know. It's going to be hard to be honest. It really is. Family, friends. What is it, Donna? For Christ's sakes. White Grand Am? Okay. White Grand Am. Your pinchy alarm is going off. Your alarm. It's going off. It's that pinchy alarm. It's bugging the neighbors. Okay, all right, let's get into this. I'll get into it. Here we go. Okay. Can I see the hands of the people that drank and did drugs? Yeah. That's so cool. Just wanted to make sure I was in the right place. You know, I hear a lot of people and they say, you know, do drugs, you know, go to CA, go to NA. I just find that incredible horseshit. I really don't understand that at all. It's alcoholic, I'm an alcoholic. I drink alcohol. And when I first came in, I remember somebody mentioned 26 and Broadway. And I used to go to 26 and Broadway a lot. And I used to hear, you know, these old timers that say, yeah, fucking little kid, you know, I spilt more than you drank. And I thought, why would you admit that? You know, if you didn't spill so much, maybe you would have got here sooner. You know, and I always felt strange about that because you know, mentioning drugs in an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting when I first came in, because I saw, you know, the reaction it got. I did a lot of drugs. Tons of drugs, tons of drinking. I did drugs so I could drink longer. I did drugs to stay awake because I was convinced if I was at a party, if I drank too much, I didn't stay awake, I'd miss something. So by the time I was, 13 or 14, I was addicted to speed. And I'm not hyper by nature anyway. So it helped my relationships a lot, speed. It helped. You know why? Because they were over real quick. They were just done, usually within a couple of hours. That's if I was properly loaded. You know, see, if I wasn't properly loaded, that's like one of the fears I had when I came in, was that I was never going to have any fun. I was never going to dance again. I was never going to have sex again. I wasn't going to have sex that was going to last longer than 90 seconds, you know, when I came in. And it's pretty much true. unless I drink a lot of Coke, and it speeds me up. I'm going to start once I finish this. Like I said, I came in when I was 20, and I got loaded from 10 to 20. I don't remember my first drink, probably because I was loaded. I don't know what it was, when it was. I would imagine it was around 9 or 10. I had an older sister that helped me out with that. Her friends were always around, and they were always smoking J's and drinking beers, and so it was very accessible. It was real easy to steal from her and get her joints and get her friends. And all her friends thought it was cute to get me loaded, just like we thought it was cute to get my little brother loaded. So I had kind of a jump start there. I don't remember the first time I actually got drunk. I just know I liked it because I kept doing it. Like I said, by the time I was 14, I was doing a lot of drugs as well. I was doing a lot of speed. I was dropping acid. I was drinking whatever I could get my hands on. And I loved drinking, man. I got to tell you, I loved drinking. I loved doing drugs. And I'm thoroughly convinced that they saved my life when I was through my teen years. I couldn't handle what I was feeling at all. I didn't know how to cope with it. And that's why I truly believe that drugs and alcohol kept me from committing suicide, killing myself, killing somebody else. I just remember being really unhappy most of the time, and it wasn't because of my surroundings. It wasn't because my father beat me or anything like that. I don't know why I was so unhappy. I do now because I know I was an alcoholic, and I believe I was an alcoholic before I drank, before I started to drink and do drugs. I believe I was born with this disease, and it was waiting. It just sat there and waited until I got smart enough to pick it up. As I went through my teen years with it, I had a lot of good times. I really did, and I want to talk about a few of those because they're fun. I mean, we all had a good time. For some period of time, we had a good time. I loved getting together with people and drinking and doing drugs. I loved the camaraderie of it. I love the fellowship of it, I think that's why we understand fellowship when we come in here, is because we had it when we were drinking. Forget the fact that it was a lie. It was still there, and when we come in here, I believe we find true camaraderie and true fellowship and real friendship for the first time in our lives. I know that was the way it was for me. And through my teen years, I go to Mexico a lot and go on surf trips and then around 16, 17 years old, it stopped working really quick, too quick. I wish it would have worked longer. I really do, because I was having a ball, and all of a sudden it pulled the plug on me. I don't know. I mean, the incomprehensible demoralization started to set in. The really embarrassing stuff started to happen. I'd get a beautiful woman from a party or a bar, and I'd go home with her, and I'd wake up in the morning, and I'd realize I'd pissed the bed. Let me see the hands of the guys that have done that. Anybody? Embarrassing. Real hard to play off. Tough. It was my fucking little brother, man. He came in with a little warm water, and I'm sorry. I know those slacks are ruined. I know they're suede. I'm sorry. My dad will pay for them. So, that's the kind of things that started to happen. By the time I was 16, 17 years old, I was blacking out every time I got loaded. Every time. I drove drunk so much. I have no idea how I lived through that. I have no idea how any of us lived through it. Waking up and not knowing where the car was. And the real bitch was that it wasn't my car. It'd be my dad's car, my mom's car, and I'd have to get up and find it before they got up. And that was tough. My dad got up at 6. And I was just going to bed. So I'd sleep for 5 minutes and spend an hour trying to find the fucking car. But I always found it. And it was still working. Damn it. It was still working. And I remember when I knew I was in trouble. It was when I was about 17, maybe almost 18. And it was Saturday night, and I was going to go out and hang out with the boys. And I realized there was no boys left. No one wanted to get loaded with me. Nobody wanted to do it with me because these guys were pussies. I like to go like 3-4 days, and these guys would stop and go to work. I never understood that at all. We're out of drugs, we'll get more. It's Sunday, I know, but forget work. Call in sick. The whole work thing, stopping the party didn't make any sense to me once it got going. And that's when I really started to get loaded and drink alone, because it was hard for me to find anyone to do it with. That was real difficult. And then I found I liked my company, so I would do it. I would sit around and watch Scarface, and I'd get, my pile wasn't as big as his, which always pissed me off. Because, there's Al with this huge pile, and he would just go, and drop in. And, it's like, coming down. And mine was about that big, a little pile. And it was all contingent on how much money I could steal from my dad, on how big my pile was. And I'd sit there and I'd watch Scarface over and over. And I'd watch that, I'd freeze frame that scene, and I'd sit there and I'd rail up, and I'd try to talk like him, and I really, it entertained the shit out of me. It really did. It kept me, I'd go for 2 days like that. And then they started to come for me. Who? I still don't know, but they were coming. They were coming. And I remember I lived in my parents' back house around this time, and I'd open the curtain of the window, and I'd check, because we had a long driveway that would go up, and I would hear shit, and I'd open up the window. Every 5 seconds I was checking the window, and the dog would look at me and say, if someone was coming, I'd bark, There's no one coming, do another line, and then check the window, and then the voices, that's the first time I can remember real voices starting to permeate my waking and drunk and drugged out states, and they would tell me to do things, fun, interesting things, and things like when you're loaded, things like I was in Mexico once with a friend of mine, and I guess by this time I was 18 or 19, and I'd picked up a girl in Who Songs. Okay. Big applause, come on, Who Songs. Okay, yeah, there you go. See the hands of the guys that have been in Who Songs. Cool. And I went back to this girl's trailer with her, and this is a gnarly story. This is so embarrassing. And then she told me when we got back to the trailer, and we're sitting there and we're making out and we're doing our whole thing, and she tells me she's married. And not only is she married, but she's married to a huge Texan guy, and he's on his way home. But if we hurry, and I'm like, okay, all right, let's hurry. I black out. I wake up in this trailer. In this trailer, I'm in the bathroom. Now, the bathroom of a trailer is so small. And I'm in the trailer, and I have shit all over the place. Everywhere. It's all over the walls. It's all over me. The only thing I could think of was, how am I going to get this off me, sleep with her, and get out before the Texan gets here? That's good, solid alcoholic thinking. I knew I was in trouble. I was in big trouble. Because it was a real fear, you know. Let's see a show of hands for guys that have done that. Come on, help me out. Don't make me feel all alone. So it went that direction. I won't get real into that. That's how things started to go. The fun was not happening as much anymore. I feel short. Do I look short? All right. The fun was beginning to end there, and I was going as hard as I could to try and keep the fun alive. You know, and by this time I had discovered mushrooms, which, God, I loved mushrooms. Does anyone miss mushrooms? I miss mushrooms big time. Huge show of hands. Look at that. And I think I spent about 1.5 years on mushrooms, just like straight, you know, and that was really a lot of fun. The drinking started to escalate to the point where I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep unless I was drinking. And I remember once I promised my mom and dad that I was going to stop drinking, and so I went to the Bay Pharmacy and I bought a big thing of NyQuil. And I kept it in the medicine cabinet, and I was sleeping, man. I was going. I was doing a couple shots of that a night, and I was sleeping. And then a couple, 3-4 nights later, I come there, and the NyQuil's gone. And I jonesed, man. I was like, where's the NyQuil? My mom took the NyQuil away. And I couldn't sleep. And that was another kind of sledgehammer sign that I was in trouble. I could not sleep. I still, to this day, have insomnia. I have a real hard time sleeping. And that's because a lot of the voices were really starting to kick in now. This was the last 2 years, I guess, of my drinking and drugging. It started getting scary. I was a thief, a liar. I didn't have any money. I couldn't hold a job, so I had to do whatever was necessary in order to get money, to get drugs and get alcohol. And at one point, I realized it was really smart to date a girl that was a dealer. So I did that for about 1 year, and that was great. I didn't have to pay for anything. That was wonderful. She took really good care of me. She tried to. I used to wet her bed all the time, you know. But it was a water bed, so it was all right. So, all right. The caffeine's kicking in now. I'm almost there. Towards the last year, there was no more consciousness left. I didn't know what was going to happen when I got loaded. I didn't know where I'd end up. And I ended up in some strange places like we all have. But it started to get scary. It wasn't fun anymore. I remember, I've told this story before, the last night that I was out there, I hit somebody with a car. And it wasn't bad, I don't think. I don't remember it to this day. I had stolen my sister's car, and I was screaming down Chautauqua. And I think they're all lying, but I rear-ended some guy. And he got out to see if I was okay, and walked up to the car, and I flipped him off or something and peeled off and went away. And I was on my way to my dealer's house. And I got there, and I'm in the back room, And I've got this big pile that I've talked this guy into fronting me. And that's what always blew me away about drug dealers. They'd always front the guys that never had any money. And then they'd call. They just keep calling you, like you were just going to magically come into $500 the next day. It was always very strange for me. And then you'd pay them off finally, and they'd look at you and say, "Is there anything else I can do for you?" They were evil. These guys, they were so evil. And I'd say, yes, you could. Another $500, please, and he'd do it. So I'm sitting in this guy's house, and I've got this great Scarface pile in front of me, and I'm very happy. And my friend, my longtime friend John, had called my father on me because I'd been up for a couple of nights. And you're in trouble when your friend, the last guy you can do drugs and drink with, calls your father. I can't handle him, come and get him. So I'm in the back of this guy's house, and I've got my face buried in this pile. I look up, and there's my dad. and it was so intrusive. How dare you? There was no anger in his face. There was no hostility in his eyes. And he looked at me and he said it was time to go. And I went with him. I have no idea why I went with him. And I blacked out again. And I came to, and we were driving in the car. And I came to, and I was crying. I was sitting in the front seat of his car, and he looked over at me and he said, "It's going to be okay." And it was the first time I ever believed him. It was the first time I ever believed anybody that it was going to be okay. And that was September 1st, 1984, and I haven't had a drink since. And I hear a lot of people come in and say, I'm sober for 23 years, and the first meeting I came to, I've never wanted to drink again. Don't get it. Sorry. I would drink right now if I could. I still have the desire to drink, and I want the people that are newer than me to understand this. I have no obsession to drink, which is what almost killed me. But I do have a desire every once in a while. I want to get loaded every once in a while. If I'm scared of something, I'd like to get loaded. But it's real quick. It passes. It goes along. That's the kind of alcoholic I am, though. Even sometimes I want to drink when things are good. But I no longer have the obsession to drink. And I want to be real clear about that, because I don't mean to be flip about it. I don't mean to play on semantics or anything. For me, there's a real big difference between desiring a drink and obsessing for one. So anyway, the next morning I woke up, and my parents were at the kitchen table, where they always were when I was in trouble. That's where all big meetings happened. I was in the kitchen. Then I walked in, and they said, "Okay, sit down, we've got to talk to you. You've either got to clean up and then go to AA and go to a detox, or we're going to throw you out." I said, "I don't know what you're talking about. I wasn't that bad last night." They said, "Well, let us tell you, just in case you don't know, what you did." And I really didn't remember most of it, and a lot of it I don't remember today. So then I remember thinking in my alcoholic mind, I thought, okay, these guys want me to get sober, my parents want me to get sober, they're going to kick me out, they're playing hardball, so will I. I said, I want a 24-hour nurse and I want an apartment on the beach. And they said the worst thing they could have said, okay. So I had these great fantasies of this amazing Pamela Sue Anderson type nurse. I'll tell you what I got. I'll tell you what my parents got for me. She was about 4'10". She was wasn't attractive. Real short hair, short gray hair. I immediately called her Nurse Diesel. She was like a mini version of Cloris Leachman in High Anxiety. I don't know if you guys remember. You know. And I was so screwed up, I still wanted to sleep with her. No, I didn't. Yes, I did. Only when it was really bad. Only when I get real shaky. So what she would do is Nurse Diesel would, every morning for about a month and a half, I would wake up in the morning and I'd throw my arm out. And she'd hook me up to vitamins intravenously for an hour and a half every morning. I was so emaciated, my body was so gone. I was real depleted, like most of us when we come in. And I got a sponsor immediately through some friends of the family, and I started going to meetings. I immediately fell in love with this place. I met people. I got sober here in Malibu, and I lived, that first few months right down there on Latigo Beach. And these were the nicest people I had ever met when I got sober up here. A lot of them are still here. A lot of them are here tonight. And they truly gave me a place to come down and come in. And I remember all I did the first year was cry. And that's all I did, was sit there and cry. And I really didn't fight with whether I belonged here or not. I knew this was where I was supposed to be. And it was an incredible feeling to feel a part of, because I never felt a part of anything. That's why I think I drank as much as I did and did the drugs, so that I could feel a part of something, even if it was a subculture, or better a subculture than no culture. So the first few months I came in here, I had people that surrounded me that it really got me into the steps. I had a great sponsor. I had two sponsors, actually, by the time I was about 3 or 4 months sober. And the obsession was lifted very, very quick. And I was able to have a life for the first time, and have real friends and people I could trust. And then the healing started with my own family and the damage I had done there, which took a long time. It took a long time on both sides. We hurt a lot of people. We hurt a lot of people when we're out there. That's the only thing I regret. I don't regret any of it today, at all. The only thing I regret is the people I hurt. Still to this day, I got real into the steps real quick. I got in and did my inventory relatively fast. I think I did it at 6 or 7 months. Maybe it was 8 months. And that was doing my inventory. I hear a lot of people that come in. I know guys that are sober for 4 or 5 years that still haven't done their inventory. That's like whacked to me. I have no idea how that's possible. These guys are much tougher than me. Because if I didn't get rid of that stuff that was making me do what I was doing from 10 to 20, there's no way I could have stayed sober. There's just no possible way. And going through the steps the first time, and being with the people that I was allowed to be with, and these people that were teaching me, gave me the basis of having a life that I never dreamed possible. I never ever thought I was going to live past 21 anyway. I really didn't think that was going to happen. Before I knew it, my eyes cleared at about 1.5 years, I guess, and I realized that I had a good chance of staying. I had a good chance because I wanted it. I wanted what everybody had. I wanted what the people that I saw on a daily basis had. I wanted to have self-esteem. I wanted to have a purpose. I wanted to feel like I earned my place, you know, and that I was keeping that I was earning my keep. And the brotherhood here taught me that and instilled that in me. And that I'm forever grateful for. I'm going to check the notes here. You guys talk amongst yourselves for a second here. Covered that, covered that, covered that. Yeah, oh good, I forgot about this. There was, the other thing I wanted to say was that you know, when I came in, I really didn't think I was ever going to have any fun anymore. I really didn't. I thought the fun was over, and now it was time to buckle down and get to work, and I was going to, you know, have this mundane, strange life the rest of my life. And I was doomed to boredom, you know. That just isn't the case. It isn't the case. I am more whacked now. You know, I'm the first guy to wall dance, you know. I'm the first guy to dry hump the waitress. I'm, you know, and I mean that, I don't mean that in a disparaging way. At all. I have so much fun sober. You know, I've done things that I dreamed about as a kid. You know, I've dove out of planes and jumped off of bridges and traveled and you know, done all these incredible things that I, you know, used to sit around and do drugs and drink and talk to people about, and these were all the great things we were going to do, even though we had no intention of doing them. But now, what's left? Drugs and alcohol are no longer in my life today. But I still have a problem. Me. I'm the problem. You know, and I learned that here. It doesn't matter what you shoot, pop, snort, smoke, drink. We all have the same disease. You know, we have an ism. We have alcoholism, you know, which is an allergy of the body and an obsession of the mind. Now that I'm not feeding that allergy or that obsession of the mind, I'm left with myself. And that's where the steps come in. The steps allow me to deal with these voices, allow me to deal with the bullshit and the incredible low self-esteem that a lot of us feel, the incredible amount of guilt and sadness, you know. But what we have kills us, you know. And for the people that are just coming in, make no mistake, man, this will kill you. Period. Even if it's you hungover, walking to work someday, and you're not paying attention, you step off the curb and get hit by a bus. That to me is an alcohol-related death. Okay, it'll get you. You know, whether it doesn't matter how, but it will. So chances are, if you're new and you're just coming in and you're thinking, you know, am I an alcoholic? Well, if you're here, you are. Sorry, I don't mean to rain on your parade or anything. It sucks, I know, but if you're here, if you're thinking, see, normal people don't think, oh, gee, maybe I'm drinking too much. Maybe I should go to a meeting. They don't think that way, you know. They just don't drink, you know, which I can't understand. I don't understand that at all. If you're here, no matter what the reason, chances are you belong here. And this is a really great way to live. If it wasn't, I wouldn't be here. Kathy knows what I'm talking about. Kathy saw me get loaded, you know. I grew up with her and her family, and I love getting loaded, you know. If this wasn't better, I wouldn't do it, period. It's real simple. And the last thing I want to talk about is two quick things. The fact that we are different. we are different from our fellows. We're not normal. You know, we're not normal. And I think I only really learned that this year. You know, that I am not like normal people. I am not like my fellows. And who wants to be? You know? These people are so boring. Oh, wait. This is my gin and tonic. Oh, I'm feeling it. I don't think I should have any more. What? Finish the drink. And I'm still in bars going, go, you know. There's 2 inches left in that glass, mister. You know. I don't want to be normal. I don't want to drink like normal people. I want to drink to leave. I want to drink to escape. Yeah. So that gives me I hope it gives you the same feeling it gives me. Just this warm feeling that I'm not normal. You know, that I truly am crazy. And if I do what the big book tells me to do, and if I follow the steps of Alcoholics Anonymous, I can have an amazing life. You know, everything I have in my life today and everything I've had in the last almost 12 years is amazing. If I died tonight, I had such a bitchin' life. You know? And I really mean that. I truly mean that. And when I was sitting making these notes today, I was sitting there thinking about the people that I've known that have died from this disease. And I know a lot of us have lost people that we knew and people that we got sober with. And I was thinking about what they must have been thinking right before they died. And I wondered if they thought, you know, that second before they went off the cliff, you know, or that second before they felt their heart cave in on them, or that second before their head hit the porcelain and they choked on their own vomit. You know, and I was sitting there thinking, I hope they weren't thinking, oh shit, I blew it. It's all done. I threw it all away. You know, I hope they weren't thinking that. This is a really gnarly disease. I deal with it like we all do on a daily basis, the best I know how, and that's really the simplest way I can say it. I ask for help. I put out my hand, and when I allow this program to work in my life, and allow is an action word for me. When I allow it to work in my life, anything is possible. Anything. So again, I want to thank Donna for asking me to speak, and thank all of you. Thanks.
Sorry to interrupt your viewing. Taper Dave here. Just wanted to take a second to ask you to like and subscribe to my channel. Let me know if you like what you're listening. I've got some very good talks here, and this one's a great one. Just curious, do you think this is better than Zoom? Tell me what you think. Okay, this is how I prepare my drone for launching. I like to do it inside the cab of my truck so I'm not standing outside in the weather. To install the joysticks for control, up and down, right and left, powered on. I have an Android phone that I use to connect it to the drone with. And it's actually controlled through the iPhone, through an app. Oops, wrong way. It's actually controlled through the iPhone, or through this Android phone, through the app. It's actually controlled through the Android phone through an app, and you connect it through this short connection right here.
Remote control connected.
Remote control is connected. So I pull out the drone. I have to extend the legs. Long legs extended first, then the short legs. Remove the gimbal protector. Set that aside, then power it on one short burst, then one long burst. I lay it down. So I have to go to calibrate. So the drone's not connected yet. It shows you here as this drone gets disconnected, even though the remote's powered on. So the drone has to establish it's connected. So I go into the app to calibration mode. First I'll calibrate the remote controller. Start calibration. Out, in, out, in, up, down, and then this little wheel is to control the gimbal. So it's calibrated. Go to gimbal calibration, start calibration, and then it calibrates the gimbal. I don't know if that shows up. The gimbal's moving all over the place. Changes, you can see it on the video. And I'm calibrated to take off. It's acquired 7 satellites at the moment. There are 26 satellites up in the sky, which it has to acquire before you can take off. So it's connected. It's got enough satellites. This is white. I can go to press this little arrow button, swipe right to take off, and it would start the motors if I slid this to the right, but I'll wait till I get outside. Don't want to do it inside.